Hey, so in this video, I want to talk about car camping versus car living. Completely different things. And for me, living out of my car for about 2 years now, I never really did much car camping. I owned a condo for 15 years, and a couple years ago, I sought out on a journey to start to downsize my life and looking at different downsize options, living mobile, RV living, and eventually, which I was looking into, showed me different people living out of vans and then living out of cars. That evolved to me trying to live full time out of my car, which I have now sustained for just about 2 years. And so the only time I ever car camped was, years back when I was just driving long distances. And I would get tired. I would pull over at a rest area and I would stop and just sleep in my car. But I didn't have my car set up for camping. I never set out on a long journey to, travel the country or the world. But what's the difference? What's the main difference between car camping and car living? It's a mindset. It's a mindset. When I sold my house, the day of my closing, after having a home all my life, I always, had one place to go back to. When I left that closing office and finished all the paperwork and I got in my car, my mind says there is no home to go to. This is your home. And that is shocking to some people. When you go car camping, you leave your home, you pack your car, you make reservations, you go to a campground, you know you're staying, you know in your mind you're staying for a few days, whatever it is, even if it's a few weeks, and you know in your mind you're coming back home. When you're car living, you leave your home and you never come back. You never have a fixed location in your mind that you're going back to. And for some people, they can never deal with that. They don't want to deal with that, and they shouldn't have to deal with that. You have to have a mindset that you want this lifestyle. And if you don't want this lifestyle, you're in a transition. You fall upon hard times. There's programs out there that you have to. I worked in some programs with homeless people and with nonprofits. There's different programs to get into. I mean, it sucks, but you have to go through the process, and you can find a cheap apartment to rent in. I know there's many people like me and other people that live out of their cars because they want to. And what I'm telling you is you can live cheaper in a small, cheap apartment than you could in most cases in your car. Because living in your car legally requires a lot of movement, and you're going to have a lot of expenses that you don't think you're going to have if you do it, properly, and you're not just, parked somewhere and staying somewhere. So that being said, I really want to emphasize that the big difference between car camping and car living is really a mindset. And what I want to share with you is what I heard someone say on YouTube when I was researching the possibility of living mobile, living out of your car. This person, they had a fixed piece of property that they call their home base, just a raw piece of land, and they actually lived in their RV and they went car camping in their car, their Toyota Prius. And he debated in his mind, this person that I used to watch when I was first researching this lifestyle, he used to often debate in his mind, could he live full time in his Prius? And for a while, he was really thinking he could. And he would often say, if you can live one day in your car, why couldn't you live two? And if you could live 2 days in your car, why couldn't you live three? And then you just repeat that process. And before you know it, you don't need to go back to a home base because you're able to do it. But like many things, after a period of time, your mind wants to go back somewhere. Your mind wants to settle. Your mind is restless. Your mind is never satisfied. You have to have a disciplined mind. You have to have a certain mindset to have no fixed area to go home to. And you're not a weaker person. I want to be very clear. You're not a weaker person if you want somewhere to go back home to, if you want a home base. I still look at a home base. So this video is not meant to say you're a weak-minded person if you can't live full-time out of your car, van, or RV, and you have, and you're the type of person you have to have a home base. Shame on you. No. But what I am just sharing in my observation, in my experience, okay, it's not a theory, is that this is the mindset. And this is the mindset for me. The reason I'm able to do it 2 years straight and consistently keep going is because I want it. And I feel at times my mind wanting to settle to a certain area, wanting to get cozy in. And, I kind of fight that off. And then it kind of goes away. And then you go back and forth a little bit. Um, but I still know I'm at peace that I know at this point I'm still not ready for any type of home base and I don't want one. Okay. But the mindset is the different, you can even go out for a 2-year journey. Say, I want to go 2 years going around the world. Or going around the country, just traveling. But if you keep your home base, in your back of your mind at any time in your travels, you can go back to your home. When you sell your house and you own nothing, you can't go back home. There's nowhere to go. Now, that being said, you can always buy another property, or you could always rent another property, or you can always get into some type of program to help you get back into that type of fixed location. So, you also have to say, look, if you did decide to get into this lifestyle full time and you wanted to go back, I mean, there's always apartments to rent. There's always things to do. So, yes, it may not be exactly how you once had it, and you may even take a financial loss, but this is part of life. But I think for some people that thought in their mind when they're car camping of being able to go back home makes for them it more enjoyable. It makes life puts them at peace. When people know, when some people know that they have no home base to go back to, it may make their mind too restless and they may not enjoy life. And it's not about being on an episode of Survivor. Sometimes camping and living this lifestyle, it's a very much survival type mindset. Like every day is like, let me get through this day and survive and do it properly. And then you wake up and you kind of repeat, your sense, your vision, your hearing, your senses are like at high alert because you're outside, all day, all night. I mean, for the most part, what separates you from the outside? One piece of glass. And most of my time I'm outside my car, whether it's working, walking, traveling, whatever. But I'm saying all that to say, life is not about trying to be on an episode of Survivor. So if you, because I often preach thriving in this lifestyle. I thrive in this lifestyle. I'm excited. I'm inspired. I'm happy. I'm at peace. Nothing's perfect, but I'm very joyful. And my videos reflect that if people look at them in their context. There's some people videos that, they're not, and they wouldn't. So everyone is different. Know yourself. Be you. What I'm here to say is, if you experience, or if or if you try something and then look, your mind is not at peace, you need something to go back to, then that's the difference. That's the difference between car camping and car living, a completely different mindset. One mindset is not better than the other. They're just different. And it's not about competition. It's about knowing yourself and then putting yourself in the best position to survive and thrive and enjoy life. Now, some people that hit the road and they want to know in the back of their mind they have some place to go home to so they can enjoy the journey. I think many times it's a little bit of an illusion. It's just like a thought in your mind, right? Because even if you have a so-called quote unquote house that you own, you don't really own that house. What you're doing, that's your campground. That's your main campground, right? Because even if you have your mortgage paid off, your taxes and your maintenance fees, whether you cut your own grass or you pay somebody to cut them, and your home insurance, that's your campground fee. And if you have a mortgage, your campground fee is a little bit higher, right? So either way, it's like you don't really have a place that you own, right? You own nothing in this world. You don't own your boyfriend. You don't own your girlfriend. You don't own your kids. You don't own your house. You're renting everything. You're paying a campground fee for everything. But in your mind, people like to know that they think they own something. Put a wedding ring on it. You think you own that person. You don't own them. You sign a house, 30-year mortgage. You think you own that property. You don't own it. You lease it for your property taxes. That's a rent lease. And even if you rented a house, in your mind, you think, well, I know this is mine because I pay my rent, but it's a campground fee. It's a thought. It's a thought in your mind that totally changes what direction you go. Camp, car camping or car living. Now, I will also say, put it in context, right? I'm a single person with no kids, no family. If you had a family and if you wanted to raise a family and you were going to stay in one static location for a fixed period of time, then you have to consider, possibly buying property because, you're going to be there for the long term and the investment part of it and, situated in a public school system and all these different criterias of life. Okay, so you have to put what I'm saying in context to who you are, what you're getting, what you're going for in life, what your position is, etc. But I will summarize in saying the difference is a mindset. The difference is what you want, and that does change. That does change over time, sometimes. But there's always going to be something in your head that wants something else for peace, for security. And there's nothing wrong with changing it. Anytime, if I want to change my mind and buy a home base, I'll do it. If I want to do it tomorrow, never put yourself in a corner. But this is my observation. Almost 2 years living full-time out of my car, 15 years owning my own condo. This is life experience speaking to you. And if you ever try this lifestyle, what you're going to find is the thoughts in your mind is the difference between being a camper and being a nomad. Okay, being someone with no fixed location to go back to necessarily every night.